Guys, we are less than a month away from arguably one of the biggest expansions ever in Destiny. We've done a video guide on how to prepare yourself for this expansion. But let me just say, even if you don't do all of those things that are on my personal checklist, that's completely fine. You don't even have to do this. But guys, Bungie has given us essentially the fast track to getting craftable weapons. You may be in that camp of someone that has not been playing much Destiny in the past year, but fret not, because red borders are going to be raining on you. Now, this video is also going to serve as somewhat of a loot warning. Bungie hasn't necessarily said what will and won't happen to these weapons, but in the past, seasonal weapons do go away once a new DLC rolls around, as well as their associated activities and their vendors all being removed from the helm. And we've seen this in the past, but do keep in mind, these things aren't completely unobtainable, as vendors like the Gunsmith and Xur will occasionally sell old seasonal weapons. We've even seen them pop up in things like Dares of Eternity or in the exotic mission rotator. But understand, being in a rotator means they are way harder to obtain, which is where we come to today. Bungie has implemented a catch-up mechanic to help everyone who hasn't yet obtained the crafting patterns for these seasonal weapons. The first activity completion each day will award a deep resonance weapon that is still missing its pattern, which means you can earn one guaranteed red border weapon that you're still missing from each season of the year of Lightfall. And this is every day until the final shape releases. That is 4 guaranteed red border weapons every single day, guys. Now, I know this may still seem like you're at the mercy of RNG, considering which weapon you may get, but it's a great inclusion nonetheless with a knockout system. The best part of all of this, though, is that Bungie has made these 4 seasons, along with Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, and the Witch Queen, free for all players until the final shape arrives. This is huge, guys. I know many of you have come back to play Destiny for just Into the Light because of that free content. And now we got more, which is crazy. I never thought I would see the day. Bungie's literally raining content on us for free. So if you're in that boat of still needing to get some phenomenal weapons that have been some of our seasonal weapons from this past year, today, guys, we're going to break things down step by step to officially obtain all of these weapons. I'm going to start with Season 20's Season of Defiance. The activities you have available to play are Defiant Battlegrounds and the exotic mission Avalon, which you can find at these locations here. Now, if you're just looking for the fastest way to get your red border for the day, Defiant Battlegrounds is the way to go. They take about 12 minutes, and honestly, if you have an optimized team, it goes even faster. Now, Avalon, which is the exotic mission, that rewards you the craftable exotic Excalibur, which I would suggest getting. I actually will use it in things like Pantheon when dealing with Caretaker. I also use it a bunch in Crucible with one of my builds, literally just running around with ACD feedback and Excalibur, giving myself an overshield. It's quite a fun build. Now, we have guides on both of these activities, which we're going to link in the description below. Now, there are some pretty solid seasonal weapons from Season of Defiance. We've got the Rancateur Stasis Precision Frame Bow, one of my favorites. Yes, you can get headstone on it. We've got the Royal Executioner Solar Adaptive Fusion Rifle, which you can get craftable rolls like Envious Assassin and Reservoir Burst. Very nice. Then we have Perpetualist, which is a strand adaptive frame auto rifle, which I've used a number of times, especially in PvP. We've got the Prodigal Return, which is an arc lightweight frame breech loaded grenade launcher, which can roll things like bolt shot. And then I mentioned it's dead sexy. Then we have the Void Adaptive Frame Heavy Grenade Launcher Regnant, which is still a solid GL. I know Edge Transit has really overtaken it. And then we have the Solar Adaptive Frame Sword Caretaker. Now, for my new and returning players, let's talk about unlocking this season and clearing the battleground. Honestly, there's little you need to know in order to get started. The first thing is to head on over to the helm and claim the Ascendant Scepter from the war table right here. Now, once you picked it up, you'll have a short quest you need to follow that will take you to Strider's Gate on Neomuna, where you will speak with Marsov at a hollow projector. This is where one other prerequisite lies, as you can't do this unless you've completed the first mission of Lightfall. Now, Lightfall is not free right now, but it is, of course, free if you're on PlayStation Plus. But regardless, that doesn't matter, because this first mission is free, and that's all you have to do here. Now, from here, continue following the quest steps that you received until you launch your first Defiant Battleground. Now, once you complete this, it will actually count as your first daily activity completion and will give you a red border. Completing this activity will also unlock the activity node within the helm, so you can easily farm out the rest of your red borders on subsequent days and characters. Now, as for clearing these battlegrounds, there isn't a whole lot necessary to know. Think of these as strikes with a little spice. You can get buffs here and there for things like grenade regen rate, improved melee regeneration, and increased mobility, but it's nothing that is required for clearing the activity. The most complex systems within battlegrounds are only present in boss fights. For example, midway bosses have you destroying multiple blights to make the boss vulnerable. Now, final bosses get a bit more hectic, as you'll need to manage your time time inside of safe bubbles while venturing out to collect motes dropped by these taken wizards. Now these motes, when dunked, will allow you to throw a ball that deals damage to the final boss's immune shield. Really though, just follow the objectives and kill the final boss. This will give you some loot and that guaranteed red border. Now, if you're looking for some more information on how those Favor of Grace buffs work, as well as what we recommend for upgrading at the war table, you can check out our full guide for this season in the description below. Now on to the second season of the year. We have Season of the Deep. Now the craft and weapons for that season included things like Target Redaction, which is a void aggressive frame hand cannon, Rapacious Appetite, which was a direct competitor to Immortal at one time, but it's a stasis aggressive frame SMG. Then different times, a strand rapid fire pulse rifle until its return, a strand rapid fire shotgun, and a distant pull, a stasis rapid fire sniper rifle. Then lastly, we have the sword, then Precipice. This is actually a strand vortex frame sword, quite unique. Now we'll first go over the most efficient activities and then get into the process of unlocking and clearing. Our activity choices are Salvage and Deep Dives. Now of these, the fastest is Salvage, if you happen to be doing matchmaking, which takes about 11 minutes. Deep Dives is the more engaging and rewarding activity, but of course it takes longer. Now, if you do have a pre-made fire team though, you can actually throw the first objective in Deep Dives. You can let the timer literally run out. You go right to the boss right after this, and this will allow you to complete the deep dives in about 9 minutes, which yes, will still net you a red border at the end of it. Now, if you do end up just wanting to farm these weapons, you of course want to deep dive in their totality. Unlock at Season of the Deep's activities is a bit more involved than previous seasons. To begin this, you'll need to launch this mission here in the helm. Once you've completed that, you'll then follow the quest you get until you need to complete the salvage activity. This is one of our standard 6-man match-made activities that has you completing various objectives, ending in the usual boss fights. Now, once you've completed this, you'll get the guaranteed red border. But if you want to continue on and unlock deep dives, the other activity, you simply need to launch and complete the next mission called Operation Thunderbolts. This is essentially a non-match made deep dive and will unlock the normal deep dive node once completed. Now, as for tips and guides with these activities, Salvage is about as simple as it gets. You're with 5 other people and all the objectives will be simple and straightforward. For deep dives, we of course have the ability to skip to deep dive's final boss by failing that first objective, like we mentioned earlier. Now, doing a deep dive normally can get a little bit more difficult than the usual activity as your effective power level will decrease across the course of the dive. But to offset this, you have these augments that you can pick up on each floor that can buff you up considerably. But if you're looking to do more than just get your one guaranteed red border and actually engage with this activity, you'll want to complete tier 7 of deep dives, which has a fairly involved secret process. And yes, we had an entire guide on this as well. I really do wish we can break down these things in depth, but I feel like most of you are probably just going to be running this activity in its most basic form just to get your red border and then bounce. But again, links to those videos down below. As for the weapons though that are dropping from that season, I'm going to be honest guys, I'm really not that crazy about any of them. The only one that we really used was Targeted Redaction, and that was because we were taking advantage of a perk called Collective Action on it, which would give us the 2-tap. But Bungie has since dealt with that perk on that hand cannon. But as far as the rest of them, I'm really not that crazy about any of these weapons. In my honest opinion, these seasonal weapons were the weakest of the lineup. But this brings us to the next season, Season of the Witch. Now this season contained weapons like Kept Confidence, a strand adaptive frame hand cannon, which is currently the only strand 140 in the game. Then we have Eremites, a fantastic solar high impact fusion rifle, and truly one of the best in the game. The semi-rocket launcher, which is a strand rocket launcher and the only obtainable strand rocket launcher currently, is also part of the high impact frame archetype, which did just receive a slight buff. You also got Briar's Luff, a void precision frame scout rifle, Locust Lacotis, a stasis adaptive sniper rifle, and the arc rapid fire machine gun, Eliatic Principle. Now the activities we have available for our daily red borders are Savathun, Spire, and Altars of Summoning. Now unfortunately, this season is bugged, and it seems to happen on characters who didn't play Season of the Witch. We actually did this on a new line accounts, and where the Way of the Witch mission is supposed to be the start of the season, it's just simply blank. Or sometimes it'll have a placeholder icon. One time even said the menagerie, but either way, you can't click on it. You can't even start the mission. Now, how we got around this is actually doing the intro mission for Season of the Witch. Then after talking to Mara and Riven and matchmaking into Riven's Lair for the first time, the helm then updates and the first Season of the Witch mission, Way of the Witch, will become available. So you load up the mission afterwards and you'll end up getting a cutscene with Savathun's ghost Amaru introducing you to the season. And then you'll be put into an opening mission. Now the first mission mission is very straightforward and linear. Just follow the diamond marker on your screen. You'll then kill some enemies, which will then let you activate your Deep Sign ability from the Witch Queen campaign. Now this reveals some platforms. You climb up them and you'll see another group of enemies, including a Hive Guardian Knight. Now after killing them, Ares will mention the Void Crystal behind them and tell you to destroy it. And there's this bubble around the crystal that you'll need to be inside of before you can destroy it. Now behind you, 2 more Void Crystals will spawn, as well as a Shrieker. Now once destroyed, you'll be able to invoke Hive Magic, which will open a current, blowing you upwards. You'll then find a rally flag, then proceed up the stairs into the open area with more enemies, shoot them to start the encounter, and from here, on the left and right side of the maps, you'll find solar crystals. Now these ones need to be picked up and brought to the spot indicated on the map. The solar crystals will also scorch you as you carry them. Each one you dunk will reveal a Hive Guardian to take out. Now once both are killed, a new Arc Crystal will spawn. Now this particular crystal requires you to melee it, which will then give you a charge, which you can spread to the other Arc Crystals by simply meleeing them too. Now the reason why we're going over this mechanic is because it's present in both of the main activities from Season of the Witch, which is important. Once they're all charged up, a Hive Guardian boss will spawn, but they're pretty easy to take out. Now after destroying their ghosts, you'll open up a platform to follow, then the mission will end. From here, you'll then unlock Savathun Spire, which is the activity I recommend running. It's pretty fun, similar to a strike, but a little more engaging, and these can be completed in around 10 minutes, and perhaps quicker if you're well optimized. Now Savathun Spire consists of 3 encounter rooms with enemies and then some traversal sections in between, and they'll be slightly different each time. Now you may have a room that utilizes the elemental crystals from the first mission. Other rooms will have plates that need to be stood on until it charges up. Now the other mechanic is in the second room, and you'll see elemental spheres in the middle, which you need to avoid as you clear the room. Now the solar one will occasionally burn the room, the void one will tether you and slow you down, and the arc one also does a damage over time effect, but only in a specific part of the room. Now throughout each encounter, in the top left corner, it will tell you what you need to be doing, as well as which enemies you need to kill, and you can just pay attention to that, as it pretty much serves as a good guide throughout this encounter. And if there are things like plates that need to be charged, or any crystals you need to interact with, you'll get a prompt for those things. Now after completing the activity, you'll get your red border. Then you'll get a cutscene where Eris turns herself into a hive. You can then open up the portal to the Anthenium, which is where the seasonal vendor will be. You can then talk to Eris there, then interact with the ritual table to obtain the seasonal quest, the Bladed Path. And this is for those of you that do wish to continue the seasonal story. Again, all of this is free right now. Now we have various guides from Season of the Witch that we're gonna link down below, and it was quite a few of them. You'll go over how to progress this quest even further, some of those secrets you'll find throughout Savathun Spire, and essentially how the whole card system with the Deck of Whispers works. And we even go over the second activity for this season called Altars of Summoning. But again, personally, I think Savathun Spire is just easier and quicker, especially if you're just going in solo. Now lastly, we have Season of the Wish, which is our current season. Now loot-wise, I would say this season is the best season. We've got a Strand Rapid Fire Fusion Rifle, which is phenomenal, called Scatter Signal. I literally keep a roll on me at all times, but to me, it's like my most used fusion rifle outside of Riptide. Then we have Abnance. This is currently the only legendary stasis trace rifle, which that alone makes it pretty valuable. We've got Scalar Potential, which is my favorite rapid fire pulse rifle in the game. And yes, rapid fire pulse rifles feel pretty good inside of Crucible now. If you're a fan of things like Horus Lease from back in the day, or even way back in the day like Clever Dragon, then you're gonna really like Scalar Potential, especially with that Headseeker keep away roll. Then we have Doom Petitioner. This is actually a void aggressive frame linear fusion rifle. It was at the top of the charts last week in Pantheon, and for good reason. When there's Void Surge and you need to do crit damage, Doom Petitioner is a fantastic choice. And keep in mind, this is a burst fire linear fusion, so you can get things like Precision Instruments with Reconstruction or even Envious Assassin. But the reason why Precision Instrument is so good on it is that you can get multiple stacks of this buff, considering it's a burst fire weapon. Then we have Super Cluster, which I actually have not done a review on, but it's a solid choice as well. This is a Strand Precision Slug Frame Shotgun. Guys, it's got a lot of things going for it, man. It's got Surrounded on it, it's got Hatchling, it's even got Deconstruct, which I like, Lead from Gold for ammo economy, Reconstruction, Slice if you really want to go full sin on that Strand synergy. And then we have Lethophobia. This is a void lightweight bow. It's all right. Now the activities we have available to play for our daily red borders includes Riven's Lair, the Coil, and the exotic mission Starcross. Now if this is your first time playing Season of the Wish, you'll want to head to the Dreaming City and you'll see a mission called the Final Wish. Now this intro mission is very simple. There's not really any mechanics here. Just follow the marker on the screen, kill enemies, and do what the game tells you to do. That's Destiny 101. Now after that, return to the helm and speak to Marasov, and she'll give you the seasonal quest, wishing all the best. You'll then speak with Riven, and you'll be tasked with doing the activity Riven's Lair. Now, you can just straight up do this every day for your red border, and it takes around 6 minutes, and guys, it's pretty straightforward. Just a few mechanics to it. You'll start out with some plates to step on. This will then open a portal to go through, and each portal contains a different pathway, but they're all pretty similar. There's going to be a traversal section with some traps, an encounter where you need to kill some enemies, another traversal section with more traps, and then finally a boss. Now I'm going to start with the trap rooms. In all of them, there will be 3 plates you need to activate to open the portal at the end. The traps are either going to be this green gas that deals damage over time, another will have spikes that kill you if you get too close, as well as moving walls that can push you into spikes or push you off the ledge. Then the last trap room will continuously apply a debuff called Pervading Darkness. And the only way to shake this debuff is by stepping onto these glowing platforms to cleanse it. And you want to do this before times 10, as you will die. Now, there's also taken blights that can boop you, so be looking out for those. But once you get to the combat sections, there's different mechanics here, but they're all pretty simple. Just follow what text is on the left-hand corner, and mainly you just gotta kill everything and don't die. Sometimes you just need to kill a bunch of enemies to progress. Another, you have to kill these enemies to drop these arc craniums, which you can then use to destroy these Vex nodes in the sky or need to take down an enemy shield. And there's also one where enemies will be shielded and you need to collect a buff called Ephemeral Virus. And you'll need this to take down their shield. Now you get this by killing these glowing orange bar enemies, which will drop the buff for you. And there's 3 in total to collect. Now this buff has a timer on it that will of course kill you when it runs out. So you want to kill the 3 enemies, get your buff to ×3, and then take down the enemy shields fast. And then you can cleanse in the middle of the map to get rid of it. Now after the combat room, you'll have another trap section with more plates. You'll then get to a boss room, which pretty much repeats those same mechanics, being the Arc Cranium, the Pervading Darkness debuff, and the Ephemeral Virus buff. Overall, pretty simple mechanics. And again, you can finish this in about 6 minutes. And this will give you a red border for the day. Now there's another activity you can unlock by progressing the seasonal quest called the Coil. Now this uses essentially the same mechanics as Riven's Lair, except it keeps going. Matter of fact, it goes up to 4 tiers. And this is one of the best seasonal activities Bungie has ever given us. Now, each tier progressively gets harder, but it gives substantially better rewards. There's also buffs you can purchase at the start of each tier, which can give you things like increased ability regeneration, decreasing damage from certain enemies like bosses, increasing your damage for certain elements. And there's also these purple pots that can be destroyed during traversal encounters with the traps, and these give you shards, which is essentially points. And once enough are collected, a secret bonus room will open in each of the trap encounters, which will have a bonus chest giving you more rewards, which will include a ton of Dreaming City loot. Things like Twilight and Vouchsafe, and those weapon guys, yes, they drop left and right from these chests. Now overall, to complete the first tier of Coil is around the same amount of time it takes to complete Riven's Lair. So if you already have the Coil activity unlocked already or don't mind progressing through the seasonal quests some more, I would recommend doing the Coil. We have an entire guide breaking down how to progress through the Coil activity. And yes, it is a challenging activity, but understand, the Coil is arguably one of the most rewarding activities in the game. If you make it through all 4 tiers, the amount of loot and chests at the end is incredible, and you can top off all types of resources, especially Ascended Alloys. So I know red borders is the focus for a lot of these guys, and yes, obviously just doing the basic versions is what most of you are probably going to be doing, and I don't blame you. But some of these activities, if you find, hey, this is actually kind of fun, feel free to just explore it a bit more and take it all the way. Overall, guys, this is a quick start guide on how to start with each season and which activities we recommend doing daily. You got a month before final shape, and there's some really great weapons available that are now free to earn for everyone. So if you got time, I would highly recommend, at the very least, doing one of each seasonal activity a day, or in the least, just focus on doing Season of the Wish, as that has the best loot in my opinion. And keep in mind, you can continue playing through these activities to get even more red borders. The chests at the end always have a chance to drop a red border in addition to that free daily one. And while you're playing, you'll also earn these keys for each corresponding season, which can give you additional rewards and additional engrams. Sometimes you'll earn these from the seasonal activities themselves. Other times you'll need to play other activities like Crucible, Vanguard Ops, raids, etc. So just be looking out for those objectives. And keep in mind, most of these activities also have varying difficulties where the loot gets more rewarding. Defiant Battlegrounds have a legend version. There's a legend salvage, where you can do deep dives and communicate with your team to activate the taken orb, which increases your reward tiers. For Season of the Witch, there's legend Savathun Spire, along with 3 different tiers of difficulty in altars of summoning. And then Coil, you have those 4 different tiers, each getting progressively harder, but of course more rewarding as you progress. Now, all of our seasonal vendors also have ways for you to unlock focusing or get guaranteed red border weapons from completing seasonal challenges, or in Season of the Witch's case, finding opaque cards for the Deck of Whispers. Keep in mind, just turning in Ingrams that you earn from playing can also net you red borders randomly. So guys, whether you're a new player or a returning player, this is a fantastic way to literally get yourself every one of these seasonal craftable weapons. Now, the last thing I want to bring up, this is something that all players, whether you were a new light player or a returning player, because all of these seasons are now currently free for the next 30 days, this also means that you can access this season's season pass. That's right, guys. Even the premium pass, you can access it. You want to pull Dragon's Breath right now at literally rank 1? You can. But if you also want to pull all of these other resources while leveling up, you also can do that. Now, here's what's even better. If you have our Firefox extension that we brought up in our Final Shape prep guide, which is called the Season Pass Pass. When you go to this link right here, which is Bungie's own website, this shows you the previous season's pass. But if you click the extension, you can actually click the previous seasons. This allows you to pull loot from old season passes. Here's the beautiful thing, guys. You can't level up those old season passes, but what you can do, even if you never played any of those seasons, you could still pull the exotic from that season, directly from the season pass. So from Season of the Deep, if you don't have Centrifuge, that's okay. You can literally pull it right there from your season pass rank 1. And you could do this for all of them. So for Season of Defiance, you can literally get Verglass Curves right there from rank 1. And for Season of the Witch, you can get Exderis. Now, all of these exotics have exotic catalysts that are associated with them that you could pick up right there from the gunsmith. The point is, guys, is that these exotics, if you didn't get them in the past, are easily obtainable now by simply just having that right Firefox extension. I know, you're probably like, Cross, I don't want to download Mozilla Firefox. You don't have to, but if you do want to, links to those things down below. So guys, that is everything here for my folks that are trying to get caught up completely. I feel like I'm like giving you a guide, but at the same time, I'm like, go check out these other links for more depth. And I really hate doing that. I wish we can go into each one of these seasonal activities and literally like break everything down like we did in our original guides. But no lie, this video would probably be like close to an hour and a half, maybe longer. Feel free though to just save this video, as everything we have in the description below will be loaded with information that we've covered in the past for those of you that want to tackle those seasons in greater depth. Regardless though, just doing the base versions of these activities will net you a red border. Most of you probably already have a number of these red borders and you're just looking for a way to check them all off. And this is going to be perfect for you. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching. And as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.